you still haven't learned what it's like to go through transformation in a circle container, right? They're different. You still have sister wounds. You still have the stuff around being in the group. There's so much stuff that we're holding on to when it comes to being in a group. Do I belong? Am I contributing? Do I bring value? Will people listen? Am I taking up too much time and space? The list goes on of all the things that we have when it comes to being in relationship with a circle, with a group. Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started. I'm rolling up my sleeves, ready to go in. If you are a coach, healer, therapist, or you work with people in some capacity and you are tired of the superficial, you do not want to stay on the surface level, you want to go deep, you want to create transformational experiences, this episode is for you. Now, I have been leading circles. I've been doing this work since 2010, and this has honestly been my biggest motivator, is how do I go deeper? I want to go down the rabbit hole. So that is primarily who I find that I attract, and it has been my primary focus for 2023, is creating these spaces for deeper transformation, refining all of our trainings, just really emphasizing on this piece. And so I want to give you the 3 things to create these transformational experiences and give you a little bit of some guidance around this, if this is you. And so let's start with the power of the group container. Because you might be finding this and you are a one-to-one healer, coach, therapist, and there's something about the group that is intriguing you. Hence why you've come into my world, into the world of Sistership Circle. And I love groups. I've always loved groups. It's actually been my focus as long as I have been in this industry, as long as I have been doing transformational work. And that is because the group container has something that one-to-one just can't match. And I know that a lot of people like one-to-one because of that intimacy and that ability to go deep. And so there's a fear around groups because you might lose that intimacy, you might lose the depth. And you got all these personalities in the space, right? You got a lot going on. But when we are talking about group work, there's a bonding that's happening. So not only are you doing group transformation, but you're also doing the individual transformation. And what we mean by the group transformation is that most people feel isolated, disconnected. They do not feel like they have community. People are seeking a sense of belonging. And we desperately want connection. So when we are doing group transformational work, when we're going through a transformational process, the group is bonding, the group is connecting, and there's something that's happening for people. So it's like you have the me and the we. We have the individual and the collective healing that's happening. You just can't get that when you're doing one-to-one. This is what gets me so excited. And what I have found actually is that the more that I do groups, it's saving me a lot of time and energy, because I find that when I'm doing one-to-one sessions, I'm exhausted and my calendar's booked up, right? Like I don't have any space for anything else. I can have more impact by leveraging the group container. Now, here's the kicker, is that you've got group transformation and then you've got circle work. And this difference between group and circle is, with circle, we are creating this different container. We're having this safe and sacred container. And specifically, we are inviting everyone in the space to share. So this is what we call the potent group share. And by having every person in the group share, this is where the connection and the bonding is happening. It's also where we are seeing that we're not alone on our journey. And we're learning something from every single person sharing. And things get stirred up, things get activated, memories surface when someone else might be sharing something on the same topic that reminds us of something, right? Because in a circle, we are all mirrors and reflections of one another, both the shadow and the light. So when we are incorporating these circle distinctions into the group container, magic is happening. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and a very, very specific thing that you want to watch out for, or that you want to become aware of and start to utilize in your group work. But yeah, let's dive into this, because this is my favorite thing to talk about. Okay, so surface level versus transformational work. And specifically, we're just going to talk about circles, because that's where I hang out, is circles. So the things that you really want to have, the three components of a transformational container, group container, circle container, is what we were just talking about. Number one, the connection. And by us incorporating this potent group share, that is allowing people to talk about themselves, take off their masks, be real. This is where we're creating that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that real and authentic connection that we're all craving. When each person shares and we're going around, oh my gosh, we feel so connected to every single person as they're sharing, right? We feel like we know them. We feel like they know us. That's tribe. That's community. And where else in the world right now do we have that opportunity? Where do we have that space? Most of our families, this is what I hear all the time, is that's family's not the place to talk about what really matters, talk about our inner feelings, talk about, the things that we want to keep buried. Circle is the place where we get to show our vulnerability and actually learn that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's our strength. It's what really connects us. It's what allows people to support us, right? And that support is not a bad thing. Number two is depth. So when we are creating a transformational journey, we want to penetrate below the surface of, how are you doing? Fine, thank you, right? So this connection piece is what allows us to go deeper. And when we create safety and when we create that connection with the group, and we see that we're not alone, and one person shares something that triggers something within ourselves, and that trigger doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could just be like, whoa, emotion coming up. It allows us to go deeper into our shadows, deeper into our thoughts, look at the things that perhaps we've been hiding away or that have been buried. And we can actually start to access things that we might not necessarily want to share with people. And as Brene Brown says, shame hangs out in the closet. The things that we are afraid to talk about, they can become shameful. We could be holding on to things. When we're in the circle and we start sharing things that are, deep and feel vulnerable and, we don't necessarily want everyone to hear, there's a release that happens. There's a big release that happens. I don't know how many times I've been in a circle where a woman has said, oh, wow, I've never shared that with anyone before. Or I've only shared that with my best friend before. And you could see the transformation literally happening within her. You could see it on her face.
Do you want an awesome community of women around you, supporting your dreams, cheering you on, and having meaningful conversations? How would that feel to be surrounded by like-minded spiritual women who want to make a difference in the world just like you? What are you waiting for? Sister, sometimes you have to take things into your own hands and make it happen. If you are that type of woman, then becoming a women's circle leader is for you. It's one of the most fulfilling things you can do right now. I'm hosting a virtual training to help women like you rise into your leadership and step into leading women's circles as a way of creating the community of your dreams. First, you'll learn the 9 pillars of the How to Lead Circle Blueprint, a step-by-step process to start your first circle and consistently run monthly circles. Next, you're gonna sit in a breakout circle so you can experience how we do circle at Sistership Circle. You'll make new sister connections as you share with potent question prompts and get vulnerable together. Then you're gonna discover your divine feminine leadership archetype and how to cultivate your superpowers so you lead from your unique strengths. Next, you'll learn exactly how to start your first circle in less than 90 days. And finally, you'll know how to overcome any challenges that arise, and specifically the top 4 fears that come up for every circle leader, so you feel empowered to take inspired imperfect action. So if you're ready to create a transformational women's circle that develops real, meaningful sisterhood, and get the tips, tools, and techniques to create a circle that's safe, sacred, and sold out, then join us for this experiential and embodied event. Go ahead and click the link to grab your ticket today.
So this leads to number 3, is the transformational arc. And when we are creating a transformational journey, we want to look at the arc. And this can be either whatever you want to, if you want to look at it as an N or U, but there is a point in which we go deeper into the dark. We go deeper into the shadows. And so typically what a transformational journey is going to have is both the shadow and the light. And the transformational arc is saying, okay, we're going to start here. Let's just say it's a U. Our transformational arc is a U. We're going to start here at the beginning. We're going to go down. We're going to penetrate. We're going to pierce the veil. We're going to go deep. We're not going to hang out there. We're going to come back up into the light. So we're going to go down and then we're going to come back up. And by coming back up into the light, this is what is then becoming the transformational process, right? We're moving through something. We're potentially releasing something that's there, and we're reclaiming what we might have been disconnected from, or we might have lost, right? We may have forgotten. So this transformational arc of going down and then coming back up is important. And this is what distinguishes these circle containers that have transformation versus are just hanging out the surface level. And this again comes down to that potent group share. The potent group share is designed to take people down into the dark, into the deeps, into the depths, into the deep end of the pool, right? And for us to excavate, for us to look at things. So you want to look at questions that are going to bring something up, that are going to allow people to not just have like a yes or no, or be in their heads thinking about it, but actually go down into the body. Think of it that way, right? If we're in our heads, we're up here, we're above the neck, surface level. When we go into the depths, we're actually going into the body. We're going into the heart. We're going into the lower chakras. We're going into the pelvis. That is where it might feel more scary for people, right? Think about it. When we are hanging out in our heads, it's much more comfortable. We live in a society where we are focused on the rational, the logical, the brain. We don't like to feel our feelings. We don't like to actually go below the neck, into the body, where we feel things, where it feels uncomfortable. So that is the process. That is your key. When you create a potent group share question that's penetrating into the body, into the feelings, that's your primary goal. Your intention in creating a group share is, how can I get them to go deeper? How can I ask a question that's going to have them actually access their feelings? So, primary example that I always use is sister wound. If you're wondering what sister wound is, we have some podcast episodes that you can watch or listen to, but it's basically the disconnect, the separation of women. It's the thing that has us mistrust one another. This is a great question. This is a great way for us to have transformation, right? Is to heal the sister wound. That would be an amazing transformational circle. So if I'm going there, I want to ask a question of, when was a time that you were hurt by another girl or another woman? How did that make you feel? What happened? You're gonna get some really awful stories. You're gonna have people's emotions come up in the space, right? So we don't want to just leave them there. We want to bring them back up. How we do that sistership circle is we use a visualization. We use a ritual to have them release and reclaim their power to maybe heal, whether it was with that one woman or these women who are here in the circle with us, right? And that's why it's so powerful in the group, is that we can heal in real time by being witnessed by our sisters, by having that sense of belonging, by feeling loved and accepted, even though we have these feelings going on, right? So we can use the group to actually help each individual heal. I mean, how great is that? I just get so excited about this because, yeah, I could have a one-to-one session with someone, ask them that question, but she's still gonna, I mean, is she actually having the visceral experience of what sisterhood feels like? Is she having those other women who are like cheering her on or witnessing her or saying, wow, I feel the same way? No, she's just got me as the coach, as the space holder. So utilizing all of that. What you want to think about is, at the beginning of my circle, let's say that's point A. Someone's coming in at point A. Where are they? And point B is the end of the circle. Where do I want to take them? Where are they when they leave? So if point A is they come in, they have a sister wound, and point B is they have released that and they've healed that and they feel connected to sisterhood at the end, right? Now, how am I taking them through the journey from point A to point B in that circle? And that's what it looks like to shift from superficial, surface level groups or transformational work, that's just kind of probably spiritual bypassing, to actual transformational work done in a group container. Okay, so here's 3 things that I want you to be focused on learning. And this is where you come to us, you come to our training programs, and this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to learn. So the first thing is that the deeper you go, the deeper your container is, the deeper you can hold space for others. So here's the work. You can't bypass this part. You can't just become this transformational facilitator without doing deeper work on yourself, and specifically deeper work within a circle container, right? If you've done one-to-one work with an amazing healer, right, you still haven't learned what it's like to go through transformation in a circle container, right? They're different. You still have sister wounds. You still have the stuff around being in the group. There's so much stuff that we're holding on to when it comes to being in a group. Do I belong? Am I contributing? Do I bring value? Will people listen? Am I taking up too much time and space? The list goes on of all the things that we have when it comes to being in relationship with a circle, with a group. So it's kind of like, it's the same thing with a marriage, right? I can do my own one-to-one spiritual work on myself for 10 years. Some of that is going to translate into my marriage. But if my partner and I are not working on our dynamics together, like, there's still going to be things that come up. So it's the same thing. One-to-one is different than circle group work. So you want to go into your own shadows. You want to make sure that you're not bypassing and that you're actually able to face the things that you don't want others to know about you. The places that you're hiding are going to be revealed in the circle. That's simply what the circle does. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later. So what you want to really do is focus on the shadow of your relationship with group, with community, with circle, with sisterhood. And I would say with the feminine, because circle is, especially if it's a group of women that you're leading, this is feminine work. This is mother wound. This is witch wound. This is the feminine wound. And so if you're not familiar with that, if you're asking yourself the question, what are you talking about, Tanya? Then this is the work for you to do if you're going to step into doing transformational circle work, transformational circle facilitation. Okay, so I'm going to go on to number 2. And this is something that came up for me a couple years ago. And that is that you need to become trauma informed. I was in a circle and there was a woman, I was leading this circle, and there was a woman who was having a breakdown. And someone who had done trauma work said, I think you need to, Tanya, really pay attention here to the trauma that she's experiencing, and that we don't want to re-traumatize her. And this stuck out at me. And I said, I need to become trauma informed. Meanwhile, I had a pattern happening where in our highest level program, Mastery of Leadership, I kept attracting one person every time who gets super triggered by me, and I would bring up their mother wound. and they were holding a certain frequency that I actually couldn't feel connected to. And instead of me holding this compassionate, loving space for them, I was feeling triggered by them and I was judging them. And I was feeling like, okay, this is a huge block for me. This feels like the next edge, like the next level of my leadership is I need to be able to have a more compassionate, loving space for this type of woman if she comes into my space. And so I found somatic experiencing, and this has been a game changer for me. I'm in the second year. It's a 3-year program. There are so many amazing trauma-based programs out there, somatics, trauma healing. And if you want to learn more about somatic experiencing, it's traumahealing.org. Highly recommend. It's just been extraordinary for me. And what I have learned in my quest to become trauma informed is when to push and when to hold and when to regulate and how to do that in a way that is not recreating trauma. Not only that, but I now understand my nervous system in a way that I didn't before. I have a relationship with my nervous system now, instead of this unconscious, oh, wow, this is just the triggers that are happening. This is just, the response that's happening in my body. Yes, I know how to breathe. I know how to self-regulate. And I also know how to co-regulate. And so this work is really, really important. And it's something that we've been bringing more into our training programs just based from my own experience, right? Like I have to bring this in. So when we're doing transformational work and we're using the transformational arc and we're going deep and we're doing release work, we got to know where the trauma is. We got to understand how the nervous system's responding. We have to help someone to regulate if things are coming up. And the third thing, and this goes back to something I was starting to touch on, is to trust the circle medicine. What do I mean by that? So when you are a transformational circle facilitator, you're actually not leading alone. This is good news. You are in co-creation. Not only are you in co-creation with the higher power, and if you're co-leading with someone, you're in co-creation with that other leader, and you're in co-creation with all the women who are there, because it's not just you. We're all doing this together. We're all on this journey together. The circle itself is bringing medicine. And that medicine is based on all those things I just said. So it's based on the configuration of the women. It's based on the container that's holding. It's based on the intention that is set of the transformational journey that the women are on. It's based on spirit and this energy that's so much greater than ourselves. The circle medicine is giving us exactly what we need. It might not be what we want. And this is why we have to trust it. As a leader, your number one thing is to set an intention, and then you build an outline based on that intention from your point A to your point B. However, you are not here to control the outcome, which means that you're paying attention to the energy in the space, and you're able to be flexible with your circle outline and respond to whatever energy might be coming up. So it's a mysterious process. The circle medicine is unknown. It's unclear at first. And it might look like the circle having a breakdown. It might look like a woman wanting to leave. It might look like you getting triggered. It's working though. It's like trusting the process of anything. Sometimes we can't see clearly because we're right in the thick of the transformation. When the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it can't see anything. It's just a glob of goop, right? But then it becomes a butterfly. That metamorphosis, that transformational process, when the caterpillar's in the middle of it, can't see it clearly, right? Neither can you. Neither can the group. So you got to buckle up and hold on tight and trust. Trust that it's all going to be fine, that all is well, and that as long as we are getting out of the way of the circle medicine, working on each of the women, the transformational process, the journey will occur. So those are the 3 things that I invite you to learn. And we're doing that. We're doing that in our training programs. And so wherever we're at, whenever you're listening to this, you want to come check out one of our 2 main training programs. One is How to Lead Circle, which always starts in March and September. And the other one is Mastery. Mastery is our 6-month more advanced container. So you need to be a little bit more equipped, have a business, maybe have already led circles before, or not necessarily, but you know, this isn't your first rodeo. And then How to Lead Circle is for anyone who's on the path. You could have 0 experience. You could be coming from corporate. You could be a stay-at-home mom, right? Anyone can learn how to lead a circle. But then to really go deeper into the transformational process and become a master at it, that's what we're doing in Mastery. So those links will be in our show notes. You could check them out. Come join us. And until then, we'll see you next time.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it.
Up next, wondering how you can make money leading women's circles? In the next episode, I'll be sharing with you the circle business model, the step-by-step roadmap to turn your circles into a profitable business.